everybody. Welcome back. So we have another guest. We're really rocking and rolling today, and I am so excited to speak with Shawna Bigby Davis. And she's a two-time entrepreneur with a 20-year career in advertising and design. After discovering she had three autoimmune conditions, she sold her company to go on a healing journey and gaining certificates in integrative nutrition, health coaching, and specialized trauma therapies. Shona combined her collective background to create Your Daily, tools to help the modern woman heal from autoimmune and burnout conditions naturally. Wow, this is a really important subject. Let me bring Shana on the live screen. Welcome. Such a pleasure to have you, to meet you here face to face and delve into this subject of autoimmune conditions and how technology can help.
Yeah, thank you, Monica. I'm elated to be here. Femtech is a deep passion of mine. And so this summit, I think, is not only necessary, but it's important that everybody has access to it. Femtech has been ignored. Well, actually, it's a real emerging technology, right? Or it's a new emerging space. But feminine health in itself has been ignored for a long time. And so that's why we're here today. And I'm really excited to share with you.
Thank you so much. And what really, is really come to the forefront today is that our founders that we're introducing and interviewing here, I mean, you guys all have personal stories, and it just doesn't come from trying to create a company, etc. It comes from a really deep need to address issues that are not being addressed and have been ignored, like you just mentioned. So I would love to delve deeper into your story and what inspired you to create Your Daily.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that all passion turns into purpose, right? And especially, I think when we're talking about health, we end up having, most women end up having a health crisis. And this is the catalyst for us to try and make change, not only in our life, but we start to see the ripple effect, and we want to bring this to a larger platform. So yes, my background, so I have three autoimmune issues. I have rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's, and I'm diagnosed celiac, which is a wheat allergy. And while celiac will never be in remission, I will always have that, my rheumatoid arthritis and my Hashimoto's is in remission. And once I discovered on my healing journey, as I was going through just different modalities, many people started to reach out and say, well, how did you do that? Or what are you doing? And, I can see this enormous difference in you. And, whatever you're doing, I'd like to know more about. And I kind of started into this like accidental coaching world. And as I was doing this, I thought, one, I want to get certified to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. And then two, is there a way that I can bring this information to a larger audience? So using my background in creating digital products and doing marketing and branding and advertising, I'm very lucky to have had that background. I was able to combine both worlds, this healing, holistic world with, bringing a product to the market. And so we created an app that people can get a personalized digital health coaching once per day. And what I love about it being tailored and it being only once per day is it's completely in line with the foundations of healing your nervous system first before you try any of the extra fancy stuff. And so that's one of the things that I've come to really understand both through the trauma training and the integrative nutrition training is that when we start with some of the really truly like big fancy things, or we focus on like these, like whatever our micro intakes are, or our macro intakes are, we start like focusing on the minutia, we lose the bigger picture. And so nervous system regulation is the foundation to all of the coaching that we do here at Your Daily. And it's something that we're incredibly passionate about teaching.
Okay, so I'd love to delve deeper into how it all works and how it helps women who are going through a variety of autoimmune conditions. And so what is the most overlooked piece of the whole story?
Yeah, so the most overlooked piece of the puzzle for women with autoimmune conditions is nervous system regulation, and how and why we've become nervous system dysregulated. So most people, when I say most people, I'm going to say most doctors that I saw, and I saw 12 different specialists. Each one of them handed me anxiety medication and they handed me pain medication. And it was just sort of like, on your way now, this is all that we can do for you.
Mhm.
And no one really started to ask why I had an autoimmune condition. And I think like that why is important for us to ask, because until we know the why, that's the true root problem, right? So our nervous system regulation, and you might have heard a lot about this vagal nerve. It's gaining a lot of
Mhm.
notoriety, especially in the trauma world. We've all experienced sort of a global trauma together with this pandemic. And so people are starting to understand what the role of trauma in our life is doing. But specifically, our nervous system has this fight or flight or freeze response. And in women, fawn. Fawn would basically means like, I defer to you and my needs don't matter. And if you ask any woman with Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, fibromyalgia, even like chronic fatigue syndrome, long COVID, every single one of them will tell you she has cold hands or feet. Well, we could say this is a circulatory problem, right? And while that is true, it's actually because they're stuck in a sympathetic fight or flight mode. And so we say, okay, well, your hands are cold and your hands and feet are cold because your body is not moving correctly. Your blood is not moving. We are stuck in these perpetual states of fight, flight, or freeze. Once we have activated this fight, flight, or freeze, our bodies are super clever, right? Once we're activated, we're meant to only stay in this state for maybe an hour, and then it's meant to pass.
Yes.
But our body knows that wherever there was one emergency, there might be a second one close behind it, right? So in the cases of like bears and tigers and, maybe neighboring clansmen who wanted to steal your food, you needed to be able to survive this, right? So 80% of your body goes back into rest and digest and relax. 20% reserves stay back into pumping cortisol and adrenaline through the body for about the next hour or two, because it says wherever there was one scan or whenever there was one threat, there might be another, and I'm scanning on the horizon for that second threat. The thing is in our modern day life, your phone, your angry boss, jumping in the car, a screaming child, a fight with a spouse. These are all alarm systems, right? So you might have gone from one, your body started to relax a little bit. 30 minutes later, you get a crazy email from your client or your boss or a looming deadline.
Mhm.
And you get stuck in this perpetual cycle of being on and in fight or flight. Because this nervous system starts to just get loaded up, we never get a chance to discharge it. What ends up happening is we deplete our internal resources. Our system becomes inflamed, and I'm sure you've talked a lot about this, but our system becomes inflamed. We're no longer able to absorb nutrients, right? Our brain actually becomes sticky and inflamed. And so what ends up happening is we exhaust ourselves. This can happen for about this burnout stage. This is where we hit burnout. Burnout can usually happen like 2 to 5 years. After 2 to 5 years, our systems go into creating chronic illnesses. And this is where our body stops whispering and starts to scream at us.
Okay. So it's that accumulation of all those signals that are really not, I mean, the purpose is really sort of off, because we don't need to go into that stress response. And yet the body is so wired that it will. And it's accumulating, and all those different elements are coming together. So we get into that perpetual stress response, right?
Absolutely.
So what happens in the body? Why does that connect? How does that connect with autoimmune situations?
Yeah. So once we have, so first, I just want to share that, 70 to 80% of autoimmune conditions, 75 to 80% of autoimmune conditions are in women, right? And majority of those are in marginalized and lower income society, parts of society. And the reason why is because they're constantly fighting through more on a daily basis, right? So they either have more discrimination, or they have to work harder. Maybe they have to work 2 jobs, whatever it is. So we can see that it's not just a woman problem, but it also has to do with where you're at in society and how much sort of stuff you have on you. And what we see is this gut-brain axis, which is along your vagal nerve. Your vagal nerve starts at the base of your neck, and that's where your primal emotional center is. And it only speaks binary. It speaks safe or unsafe.
Right. Mhm.
And with this safe or unsafe, really what you want to do is create safety for yourself. If every day in your life feels unsafe or uncomfortable or unsettling, your body's going to be vigilant and it's going to be on alert for how it can protect you. Your body has one job, and that job is to protect you and keep you alive. And so this is the struggle with women with autoimmune issues is we often think that our bodies are working against us. They're fighting us. They are starting to break down, and we get angry. We get angry at our bodies. When in actuality, we should be thanking our bodies because they're actually doing their job, which is to keep us alive. Unfortunately, because we've made it so threadbare in terms of depleting all of our natural resources and making it so we can no longer have communication inside of our brain to our gut, inflammation takes over, and then we start to miscommunicate, right? Like, so we no longer can hear what our stomach is saying to us, right? Or there's many miscommunications along the lines of like what is safe. If your body perpetually thinks, or if your body is perpetually in an unsafe environment, it will start to seek out unsafe environments as safe, even though logically we know that this is like a place for instance, this is the reason why people get into relationships over and over again that are uncomfortable or unsafe. They know logically that these things are bad for them, but it feels familiar, which our body has deemed safe. And so, yeah, constantly living in these stressful situations is what's depleting us. With nervous system regulation, we tackle that first as part of any health coaching. And the reason why is because if you try to do cognitive behavioral therapy or, positive thinking, you're talking to the cerebral part of your brain. This
Yes.
part of your brain has already gone offline when you're stuck in fight or flight. This
Yes.
is the first thing to turn off. And so when dealing with autoimmune issues, a lot of people try to talk to that cognitive center, the logical center.
Yeah.
Well, if you can't make logic happen, then you actually can't make change happen.
Right. Wow. Okay. So now, let's see, where does the whole, your daily approach come in? How do we interrupt the situation?
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to take it back just one notch. So, there's a difference
Yes.
between burnout prevention and
Oh,
burnout
good. Yes.
recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of people, there's in the day of Instagram and social media
Yeah.
posts, just think happy thoughts, positivity, take bubble baths, self care. Self care is a really big deal right now, right? If you do self care, you will, bounce back. So that is burnout prevention. If you are not burned out, bubble baths are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
If you are currently in burnout recovery, we have to start with nervous system regulation. We have to find safety for you. And safety looks like creating parameters around your life in small doses, in
Yes.
sort of like small areas that you can feel control over. And then slowly you can start to create ritual for yourself, and you can start to do something what we call crowding in. So rather than trying to say, hey, all of these habits that I have are bad and I'm going to quit them, cold turkey. One, that doesn't work. And I'll share with you in just a minute why. What ends up happening is we have this rebound effect. And again, this is their nervous system. So if your nervous system is sort of, imagine like a window of tolerance. And so this is where you feel comfortable, kind of like, top to bottom here. When we start to do things that are feel very out of control or feel very different for us in some of this self-care or burnout recovery, we tend to go over and above our window of tolerance. And that's when we get into the hyper arousal. We start to
Mm-hmm.
feel like we're taking on a lot and
Mm-hmm.
we're very activated. So our body, again, wants to love us, wants to care for us, wants to protect you. And so what it's going to try and do is regulate itself. And when you're in hyperarousal, it tends to go and it shoots a little bit too low and it goes into hypoarousal,
Oh,
meaning that you're going to have sort of like the opposite discharge. And you can see this as if like you've ever had like a giant presentation and maybe you have stage fright. And then afterwards you want to curl up into a ball. That's you going into hyperarousal and then into hypoarousal. Or You can see this a little bit like if you've had a diet, you start doing an extreme diet and then 2 weeks later, your body can't sort of take it. And then you crash and then you eat all the stuff, right? You do like a binge session. That's your body trying to regulate itself. That's not you sort of failing. What that's doing is you're hitting the hyperarousal and the hypoarousal. These are peaks and valleys. What we want in our life is more sine waves. Yes, it's okay to be dysregulated, but maybe within our window of tolerance. And it's okay to get re-regulated as long as it's happening in a very short amount of time. Yeah. Where we see a lot of these peaks and valleys is in our A-type community, where they try to do everything all at once and they expect instant results.
Yes. Okay, great. Yeah. I mean, I love how you explain that and how in detail you can actually help us understand how it works like. So you're talking about, small actions on a daily basis are so much more important than just try to get it all, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So when you focus on a singular item at a time, one, you can measure it, right? And even if we're talking about emotions, which are very esoteric, you can still measure, how do I feel from one day to the next based on this single thing that I'm trying to accomplish. If you're trying to accomplish many things all at once, one, you don't know what to measure. And then two, you don't know what's working or not working. So scientific method, right? We try one thing, we try it over and over again. And then also the thing is, we need repetition as humans. And the thing is, we need more repetition because of things like Instagram and TikTok and social media. It used to be that we needed about 7 repetitions for something to stick. Now it's showing that we need about 36 repetitions for something to stick, because our, we're basically, we've got all TikTok brain, right? So if you're trying to take on too many things all at once that are new for you, not only are you going to move into that hyperarousal zone and your body's going to recompensate by having you bottom out, but then also you don't know what is actually working for you. And what works for you, Monica, may not work for me. Yes. I think that is a tragedy right now in also this health space, is everybody assumes that they have the one answer for you, the one diet, the one whatever, and they promise results within 12 weeks. Well, that may or may not work for you, right? So it should be individualized, and it should be one thing at a time, and it should be in a place that feels safe. So you create the parameters and you create the container that you can actually make this work.
Beautiful. Yeah. So what you're saying too is that women need less rather than more. Like, we're really trying to equalize, make it easier. Stop focusing on a million tasks at the same time.
Yeah. So Monica, you said it best. We need a lot less. Women do not need more. We need less. And if you think about it, women have been the caretakers for life, right? We keep track of the calendars. We keep track of the food preferences in the house. We keep track of birthdays. We keep track of so much stuff inside of our brain. We are taxed. And the thing is, we didn't even know we were taxed, right? And then we were told, hey, go out and be the perfect mom. And then also, make sure that you make it to the C-suite. And we're trying to do, and by the way, did you, see Pinterest? Because you got to make sure everything looks like this, these are unsustainable ideals for us as women. And so I think that there's a small shift starting to happen where people are saying, hey, like, this can't be real. But it's also such a systemic problem that we probably won't see change for many, many decades. And so healing starts with you. If you see a problem in society, healing starts with you doing something for yourself, because you become the ripple effect. You become the catalyst or the lighthouse in your community. And even if your community is just your house, right? The people inside your house.
Yes.
But if you are the light, if you are the light going forward for other people, they get excited about that. And they're like, what are you doing? And I need to have a little bit of that too. So women need to slow down, calm down, right? And that's a really big one. And I don't talking about like, hey, you're hysterical. What I mean is nervous system regulation, finding safety within our relationships and our environments, within our workspace, finding safety, right? So that's calming down. And then once we do that, then we can choose a singular place in our life that we would like to make small change, and we do it gradually.
Okay, beautiful. So you're leading us towards solutions. And so for a woman, she may be watching and she finds herself, yes, I'm in this world of just having to have it all done, to having be the perfect mom, wife, sister, employee, boss, etc. What's the next? What's the first step? How do we start to unravel that mess?
Yeah, so I think the first step really is by taking stock of what's working and what's not working in your life. We have a tool, and we're offering it for free to anyone who's watching this. It's called the Wheel of Life tool. And in that Wheel of Life tool, there are 12 different categories within your life that really kind of make up the soul of everything that you do on a daily basis. And then understanding where inside of your life things are maybe off, right? Is it like in the sexual and intimacy part of your life? Like, is your health like in the bucket? Is your finances really, really stressing you out? So by understanding where you are on this scale for each one of these things, you can identify a singular place that you would like to focus. And then what we do is, so that's sort of awareness. The second is we need to do elimination. And that's eliminating toxins in our life. And toxins can be people. We are eliminating toxins. We're eliminating maybe food things that are maybe bothering us, right? We can eliminate, this is one of my favorite, is going on a digital detox, right? So putting away our phones. Whatever it is that's sort of like distracting us on a daily basis, identifying in that one space where things are really like overwhelming. And then once we do the elimination, and we start to regulate ourselves and we understand how to regulate ourselves through somatic exercises. Somatic means body. So moving our body and really understanding, reconnecting. Women have chosen to, like, my head is the most valuable part of me. And so, especially my A types, their body is just the thing that takes their brain like into movies or like into meetings or right into the next room. Reconnecting your brain and your body together is essential. So once we do the elimination so your body can actually do the healing, then we reconnect the brain and the body. And then we start to reintroduce things back in. And we say, hey, can I tolerate this relationship again? Or hey, can I tolerate, this food again? And then we test. Like, does that work for me again or does it not? And if it doesn't, it's gone forever.
Yes, beautiful. So it's a very systemic approach. It's a really comprehensive approach to, like, we have to look at everything from a bigger perspective and then choose, right? Yeah. Small pieces of it to start with, because we cannot start doing everything all the time at the same time.
Well, we want to, right?
Right, we want to. Now, I think there is something about healthcare is that then we go on the journey now. Okay, now I'm going to change everything because I'm going to be super healthy. So I'm just going to eliminate everything that's toxic and just like go on a diet and start jogging, lifting weights, and just get on all the supplements. And it really is more harmful all too often because, again, we're taking too much. So I think what you're offering is like, yeah, we got to take a different approach altogether and step back.
Yes.
And just let go of, and I think it's not easy, but we're talking. So I think that some subjects that you brought up is that healthcare needs to become individualized, and I think that's a huge promise. We've been talking about all day about that, how femtech health technology is actually helping us get healthcare in a way that's individualized, not just
I love that.
a number, like you're a number in the machine. You are actually an individual that is different than all the other 7 billion individuals. So tell us more about, where do you see it going? How do you see technology supporting that?
Yeah, so I will tell you, I'll be truly honest. I'm really excited about the future and I'm really scared about the future.
Okay.
Right? So in the same way that I love individuality, right? Because we are bio individuals, right? What works for you may not work for me. Like my sister could eat sunflower seeds all day long. I eat them and I break out in hives, right? Like we're all very
Right?
individual.
Yes.
So what I love about femtech is not only is it giving a voice to females, which we have not had, I don't know if anyone's talked yet about this, but, it wasn't only recently that we started to recognize that we weren't even part of medical trials, because a woman who was fertile, like between the ages of like I think 16 to 65, were basically
Yes.
like not allowed to be part of clinical trials.
Yes.
So even medications aren't built for us, right? So there's so much of women's technology or women's health that needs to be explored. And I think that through this technology, not only can we get like better metrics and better understanding for what works and what doesn't work, and then hyper individualize that. The scary part for me is then, right, like, is it always on my phone? Is it always sort of ruling my life? And does it tell me what to do as opposed to enable me? So, in the difference between telling me what to do and enabling me, and I really want, I hope that this gets heard, is that when you are enabled, you are encouraged to take on your own journey and have the information that you can then use. If you rely on technology, you're basically outsourcing your thinking and your feeling to technology. So that is the place that I think that femtech really needs to pay attention, right? We're in this exciting, beautiful phase where we're able to provide some real value to women in places that they've never had it before. Tailored content, tailored lessons, tailored metrics, really cool. As long as it's a place for you to actually get information that you personally can use, rather than you continuing to rely on technology to then tell you what's next.
Yes, and that's actually, we've been talking about it too. Technology is not there to be a tool that substitutes for healthcare, for self-care, for self-understanding. Is actually a complementary, or at its best, it's helping us reconnect with our own wisdom, our own body, and build that, build it back to life, I would say. So
that innate wisdom is important. And I think we've stopped listening to it because we've outsourced who the experts were. Our parents were the experts for a long time, and then our friends were the experts, and then medical doctors were the experts. And it's time to turn inward and say, hey, I'm the expert. I'm the expert of me.
Beautiful. Yes. So I mean, this is so important. It's so we're not, again, bringing something else to be the expert. We're not bringing femtech, feminine health, or women's health technology to be the expert. We're bringing it as a support, and as another ally, so to say. Yeah. This is how I'm seeing. This is what I'm learning too from all of you guys. So tell us. I do want to hear about your daily and what you're doing with your platform and how you support women.
Yeah. So we're in the early stages. We're just doing beta testing right now. And so, but you're all invited to join us in the beta testing because, again, the more information we have, the better we can create a product that serves you. So you sign up for an account, and we do a sort of a health check-in or a health assessment. And based on that, we have an algorithm that creates a health plan tailored to you. And that health plan may be, starting with the gut, or it might be starting with sleep, or it might be starting with stress. In the future, we're going to have even things like starting with your finances, or starting with sex or intimacy issues. But what we do is we create a plan based around what we think would move the needle best and fastest for you. And then we deliver lessons daily, one at a time. And the idea here is that they are habit stacking. And I mentioned a moment ago this thing about crowding out versus or crowding in.
Yes.
So what we want you to do is start to rethink why you've maybe developed a chronic condition, and reconnect with your body, regulate that nervous system, start to eliminate. But these health lessons are very small, and they're meant to build on each other. And the reason is, right, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So we're building these lessons on top of each other. And the intention is to habit stack them to a place where habits that are not serving you or are not supporting you start to fall by the wayside, and these new habits are starting to be rebuilt. And so it's really kind of a change in lifestyle, and it's a change in attitude, and it's a change in like who you are being.
Yes.
We're not trying to change your personality, and we're not trying to change like who and what you are, but we are trying to have you understand what it feels like to be regulated, and then how to regulate yourself without food addiction, or without smoking, or without sex, or right. So a lot of times as women, we reach outside of ourselves to help us regulate. So we're learning how to regulate from the inside.
Okay. Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, I think that just turning, inside again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I mean, this is the basic ability of our body to self-regulate. We're just losing it because I think what you mentioned throughout this interview is that because we barraged with all those things that are either claiming our attention, some of them are necessary, but 90% of them probably are not. You know, you don't need to be on Instagram and TikTok for hours a day. Nothing is social media, but honestly, you don't. And so it's really important to, have that possibility of just cutting those things out and going back into self-regulation and reawakening in that. So this is what I'm learning from you today, listening a lot. So
I'll say this also, I think community is really big. So in any society that has longevity or incredible health, what they have is community. And I think that we are very scattered now, and we don't have a lot of community. So when you find community, and also having an autoimmune or chronic condition can feel very lonely and isolating. So when we work in community and you can see yourself reflected in someone else and they're going through something similar, that's where true healing happens. So, a lot of these femtech platforms are providing community for people who are having the exact same problem. And I think that is a really key component.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. And this has been a topic that's been coming up, that this, technology, apps, etc., that are being developed within the femtech industry are helping us create communities in a different way, more, attuned to our times. But it's one of the most crucial parts of healing and health. So thank you for, I just want to reiterate that because it's been a message that's been coming up a lot. So tell us more about how can people reach to you, and we're going to share your gift. So just say again what your gift was, Shawna, so that people can use that.
Yeah, so you can find us at yourdaily.health. So instead of like a .com or .net, it's .health. So yourdaily.health. And you can get signed up. And we also have, so for anyone watching the Femtech, if you use Femtech Summit at checkout, you can get 30% off any of our tools, which is an app subscription or our journal. We have a self-regulation journal that people are loving right now. And it's called the Journal for People Who Do Not Know How to Journal. So our app is called the Anti-Burnout app. So you're welcome to try those out for 30% off using Femtech Summit at checkout. And then if you would just like to, try a tool for yourself, we have something called the Wheel of Life tool. And we're going to be providing that to Monica so she can distribute it. And we love the Wheel of Life tool. We use it in our one-on-one coaching. We also use it in the digital coaching. And it really helps you to focus in on areas of your life that maybe aren't getting the love that they need.
Yes. So we are just sharing it. I put this all in the comments. And so if you would like to get Shawna's gift instantly, you can text Shawna, just like our speaker's name, to 740-908-8425. And you're going to get that instantly in your phone. Yes, so please get in touch, visit yourdaily.health. And if you are struggling with autoimmune conditions, just learn what is actually available for you, because those solutions are coming and they evolving, and I keep on repeating, it's not just about some other people creating things for us. Like, we have a voice and we can ask for what we need and give our feedback. I think that's a big part too of the femtech industry, that everybody's really wanting input and feedback from the users, from the consumers, from people who are needing those solutions, because we're creating it together. This is just what I'm getting from this entire community and this entire movement.
Absolutely. Monica, this is not, this is not a vanity project, right? Like,
exactly.
If I was going to do a vanity project, I'd probably choose something that was a lot different. We don't create these things because it sounds super interesting. It's because we know it will make change. And the only way that we will know it makes change is if we get feedback from the community.
Exactly.
Right? Like, this is what worked and this is what did it.
Yes, yes. So it's an incredible opportunity to have a voice in your healthcare, and not just having to get what you're getting without voicing your opinion. So thank you so much for all this information. I think this was so rich, and in that short time that we had, we obviously only touch upon the surface, but I would love for people to get deeper into, especially if you're struggling with autoimmune conditions, or your family or your loved ones are, get deeper into that, and get in touch with Shawna, and again, send us questions, and you can email me your questions, by the way, responding to any of the emails you get from us, and we'll be asking them and providing you solutions and answers. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Shawna. It was a pleasure to meet you face to face and to listen to you. And I know we're going to be collaborating again. And thank you, everybody, for jumping on this interview. And I will see you again in a few minutes. So please come back.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, everybody. And be well to your health.
All right.
Bye-bye.